Welcome everyone to the NoDQ review episode number 103. I'm Aaron Rift, being joined by Team NoDQ. Let me go ahead and throw it over to our moderator, as he's done for almost 103 episodes, Virtue. Virtue, how you feeling about wrestling right now?
Oh my God. Why do you think I keep bumping these shows to Saturdays? Because I need more days to prepare for my rage. But anyway, how's everybody doing? This is the No DQ review number 103. And I am Virtue, being joined by the elite panel of No DQ. And this time it's myself, Aaron Rift, Stephen Osborne, and Big G. What is up, everybody? Stephen Osborne, I will start with you.
I'm doing all right, man. It's been a good week. It was a weird day. I was planning for a board game party, but it was just one of those days, dude. Literally everybody canceled all day long. That's all that's been happening. So this was a great.
What's your favorite board game? Monopoly?
13 Dead
I
End
love
Drive.
Monopoly.
13 Dead End Drive, dude. It is a three-dimensional. For anybody that remembers it, it is a three-dimensional board game where you try to kill off all the characters. You know, it has all those booby traps. Anyway, I found a version, or I found a still in the box one, man. I couldn't believe that, but maybe out of a traditional one, wouldn't be Monopoly. Maybe, I don't even know, out of traditional. How's it going, Big G?
I'm doing good. I am up here in Gettysburg in my parents-in-law brand new camper down to the last thing.
Well, hold the phone. Wait, parents-in-law. I'm in your wedding. Did I miss it?
No. I'm just calling them my in-laws already because they're pretty much.
Okay. I thought I missed it. I was like, what?
No,
okay.
Of course not.
Carry on.
Other than that, I'm ready to talk some wrestling with you guys. I was off last week, so I'm ready to go.
Big G came up with topics this week, by the way, people. So if you don't like them, make sure you send all the heat his way. Aaron Pift, what's going on?
I'm doing pretty well, all things considered. It's been a very interesting 2020 as we now move along into our second half, and this Extreme Rules pay-per-view just keeps getting more and more bizarre, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. I'm ready to get started. Let's talk some wrestling.
All right, well, let's start. And I don't really see anything in here in terms of Extreme Rules, but if you want to bring up in the Super Chat, especially anything weird about this event coming up, let us know. Let's start with NXT new champion. Stefan, I'm so confused with all these title belts. Is it the NXT World Championship? Is that the main? Is it heavyweight or just NXT Championship? What is it?
Just NXT Championship.
Okay, so there's no World, no heavyweight, but it's Keith Lee's right now. And he's still the North American champion as well. So I just want everybody's thoughts on kind of how the spoiler leaked, which was very strange, and then the whole two endings film, but it still ended up being Keith Lee winning. And Adam Cole, what's next for Adam Cole in Undisputed Era? So with that said, since it's an NXT topic, I could start with either Big G or Stephen Osborne. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. And I pointed to Stephen Osborne, so you can start with this one. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little surprised that they stacked the championships on one guy. NXT has gotten to the point to where it's deep enough that it kind of requires that mid-card title, and now it's being occupied by the main event champ as well. So I'm not really happy about that, but if it's anybody, I'm happy it's Keith Lee. I kept predicting Keith Lee to lose the title over his last 2 or 3 defenses, because I knew he was destined for that NXT gold. And he was, but they were just going to give him both titles. And you know what? That's fine. But again, I'm a little annoyed that the mid-card title is now, caught up in the main event. And now you have to give Keith Lee a loss in order to take the title. Or does he relinquish it? Does he say, hey, I'm going to go out without losing it, and then put it up in a tournament? That would be awesome. I think they have enough guys to do a 16-man tournament. I think they
NXT, like tournaments with the NXT talent, that's kind of always went over well with that fan base.
There are so many guys you never see, like Kona Reeves. He's not going to win it, but you can make 16 out of it. As far as the spoiler leak, there are thoughts out there that it was done on purpose, because they wanted people to watch. It was kind of like that whole Mick Foley's going to win tonight. You know, people instead of watching AEW, they're like, I'm going to watch that match where Keith Lee finally wins it all. And there's a point to be made. Let's see what happens to either or of the guys from Indu Share, whether it's Rinku or Sarah, I think that's his name. If one of them disappears, looks like it was a shoot and he did something he should not have done. If that's the case, I hope it's the smaller guy, because that big dude, that baseball player, if they get him trained right, he looks like, you know, he could have a decent future. He is built the way that I think Vince McMahon likes to have him, to push him for the main event. Was there any other part of that question?
What's next for Adam Cole?
Adam Cole needs to stay around at least long enough to have one more match. Keith Lee's not the one that needs to send him off. I think I don't think Damian Priest, he's kind of fallen by the wayside, but certainly Karrion Kross. If he's going to have one last match in NXT and then be gone, let Karrion Kross retire him from NXT and send him to Raw or SmackDown. I think Raw would make more sense if you have all 4 members of the Undisputed Era going, because then they could attack Drew McIntyre and it would completely recreate. This was Jerry's idea like several months ago. Recreate the debut of the Undisputed Era in NXT. If not that, I've heard rumors that not all 4 of them want to go. If only Adam Cole goes, then I hope somehow he can maintain enough momentum and enough of a push between the time he goes by himself and the time that the rest of the Undisputed Era do show up. Because if he doesn't remain hot, then the Undisputed Era debuting on whatever brand is going to fall flat, I believe.
Well, thanks for that. Big G.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your thoughts here? And look, Undisputed Era, we're not going to, like, say they did the main roster. I don't know if it would be the whole group or just Adam Cole, but we're not. If you don't have a Roman Reigns, you're not going to get a Shield again. Anyway, that's just my quick thought. Big G, what do you think here?
So, first of all, I didn't read the spoilers about what happened on that night. I try to keep suspend my disbelief, or whatever you want to call it. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad Keith Lee won it. I think he could drop the title to possibly Gargano. I think Gargano could use it now that he's a heel. I like Stefan's idea, if he doesn't lose it, relinquish it and say, let's do a tournament. And I think 16 people, they have enough people to do that down there. Adam Cole and Undisputed Era, I'd prefer them to go to Raw, because you have AJ Styles on SmackDown, you have Matt Riddle on SmackDown now and whatnot. And I'm sure you'll have, if Ciampa decides to go to the main roster, he'll probably go to SmackDown. So I think if they all do go up together, I'd prefer them to go to Raw.
Now, Big G, let me ask you a question. There's a lot of options for the Undisputed Era. One option is they stay together. Would they stay together in NXT? Would they stay together on the main roster? Or would they break up with Adam Cole going off on his own in NXT or on the main roster? Of those 4 options, which one would you personally like to see the most? Putting him on the spot.
Yeah.
Have Shayna Baszler be their China? Is that what you're saying?
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
I did. Yeah. See, we can book their show better than them with not even trying.
Yeah. I mean, if they go to the main roster and then they eventually break up, I'll be fine with that too, because I know except for the New Day, who's been together forever and ever, they tend to disband in groups after a certain amount of time, and I'm sure Adam Cole would do absolutely fine by himself. We've seen what he's done in the past in Ring of Honor and whatnot, and I mean, Roddy, he can do good by himself, and then you keep Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish as a tag team, because you need tag teams in WWE, because their tag team division right now, Raw and SmackDown combined, totally reeks of sucks.
All right, Aaron, back to you. Any questions from the chat yet?
Yeah, we do have a couple here. First of all, somebody left a troll super chat, $1, which I will not be reading off. And now, Colin, go ahead and take care of that. Thank you,
Did
Colin.
it have my name in there?
Yes, it did.
$1? Come on. All right.
Colin
you can't
Andrew.
leave a note with $1, can you?
Yeah, you can.
Well, before you couldn't. If it was $1, you couldn't write anything. But I guess
Nope,
they
it
changed
was just a donation.
Full comments for only $1.
All right, so Colin Andrews sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Colin. He says, Adam Cole should not have shaken hands with Keith Lee after the match. Now, that was after
God.
the show went off the air, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, that
Because
did not air on television. There was a
after-
photo.
After Keith Lee won, they went up to the box and they showed Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and then they cut. After that, they just cut away. So that must have been
how
after
did the
show.
handshake get out there? Who posted it?
Somebody posted a picture
NXT
of it.
did. WWE
Okay.
NXT.
So therefore, they still put it out there. They still put it out there. Unacceptable. Like, look, we know the hugs and the cryings, like after Taker Michaels or Flair Michaels, and we've seen handshakes before. Rock Hogan. Just there's no place for it, especially if one guy's supposed to be heel.
Yeah.
I've told everybody on Twitter, Aaron, go watch the end of WrestleMania 5, what Savage did after he lost to Hogan. That's how it should be done.
And then,
anyway, back to you.
You know, I can tie in that here. When Lex Luger beat Hulk Hogan in '97 on Nitro to win the title, and that was at the Palace of Auburn Hills in Michigan, that venue just got demolished. Hogan went on this fit backstage. He was throwing things around. He was so pissed off. Now, maybe Adam Cole's going babyface, and that's why it was done. Maybe they're going to show footage of it next week that they shook hands. I don't know. But regardless, if he's not turning face, I think it was a bad idea to have them shake hands. And even to post it on social media, I'm like, come on. Whatever happened to like a good old-fashioned heel that's like, I'm going to get my payback. You're gonna regret what happened here. I'm going to come back twice as vicious, and you're in for a serious beatdown. But yeah, overall, I think it's the right time for Keith Lee to be the champion. And as far as the North American Championship goes, Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. He says, who should be the next North American champion? Now, we did talk about the idea of a tournament. I would not mind Keith Lee being a double champion, and that could be an excuse for maybe him losing the world title to Karrion Kross if they do it at SummerSlam. Maybe Keith Lee defends both titles the same night. He retains the North American, but then loses to Karrion Kross. But he has an excuse that he had to wrestle twice in one night, and maybe the first match is extremely grueling, and that's his excuse. So you could do that. Maybe you could do a tournament. I could see Johnny Gargano going for the North American title and becoming champion at some point. There's a lot of possibilities with that.
What's up with Velveteen Dream? Is he still in a lot of heat with everything going on?
I think right now WWE's just trying to have him lay low, and I feel like he will be back because their official policy is that if somebody is arrested for an accusation, WWE will indefinitely suspend that person, and then if they are convicted of a crime, they are terminated. Now, WWE cut a few people over the past several weeks, but Velveteen Dream they've put a lot of stock into, and I think he's going to be somebody that they will only take action against if he's actually arrested. Otherwise, I think they're just going to have him lay low for a while and then bring him back once the heat dies down. Now, Alex James sent in a $5 super chat. He's off topic here, but I'll go ahead and read it. He says, good old JM Jeff Meacham needs to hang it up. Once again, he messed up another wrestling trivia challenge match. Needs to hang it up. Sorry, off topic. Just had to say it. You know, you could have just told Jeff that personally. You don't have to say it to us. By the way, shout out
$5 for that.
Yeah. Shout out to Josh, who challenged Greg Cherry. You guys could check it out on Greg's channel. They had a really good trivia match. Josh brought it. He had one of the best scores against Greg. Unfortunately, he could not get the job done. Seems
Don't forget, I'm going to face Greg at some point. He might smoke me, but hey, at least you'll have to watch to find out.
Very true. Now, Psycho Jet Black sent in another $2 and says, Aaron M is an Eminem fan. You should start rapping. Okay, I'll tell you what. $100 and I'll rap on this stream. I'll bust out an Eminem song and start rapping to it, or I'll attempt to. $100. Adrian with a $2 super chat says, heels have often shook hands after losing the belt. Virtue, your thoughts on that? I mean, maybe on the indies.
Nah, dumb. You found a few in the history of all wrestling matches. Yes, they've done it. It's stupid, and it hurts them, especially if they're supposed to remain heel. Absolutely. If you like thrill of victory and agony of defeat like Wade Keller, you're absolutely stupid, and I'm going to slay you for it. Go watch WrestleMania 5. Watch Savage, right? Then there was other ones. Jericho. Look what Jericho did to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 19. That's how heels are supposed to do. Hug. Oh, what a match. Thank you. Kicked them in the nuts. Awesome. Anyways. That answer the question?
I think so.
I think we're good.
So we're moving on to the next topic, Aaron.
Yeah.
It's the other main event that was on AEW that got beat in total numbers, but yet Chris Jericho now is all of a sudden this demo expert, and maybe Tony Khan's slipping him some bonuses because this is unlike Jericho to worry about ratings so much. But anybody's liked Orange Cassidy versus Jericho. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. The goofy stuff Orange Cassidy was going to do, like we've seen against Neville and other people. Ultimately, he was going to lose. What's his record? You know how they keep track of records in AEW? I want to know Orange Cassidy's record. But anyway, thoughts on this, and I want to see Jericho back, and like nothing against Orange Cassidy. I did like when he got beat with a bag of oranges. I want to see Jericho in the title picture. He went there to be one of the top stars. He never went back for the title that he lost. I hate that. So, Big G, I'll start with you on Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. I'm just scratching my head with this whole feud still.
Well, I think this feud is over with, hopefully. I thought it was okay. You know, Jericho did what he needed to do. He helped put over Orange Cassidy. Tried to build up.
But did he? Look at NXT. Keith Lee. Yes, they spoiled it, right? So people maybe. Yeah. But NXT is now consistently beating AEW, and that main event beat Orange Cassidy and Jericho. Chris Jericho. You know what I mean?
Let's just say he made him look good in that match. He did what he needed to do.
He always does. Anybody.
Yeah. He I just lost my train of thought.
BS. You were just going to spew BS to put Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is a great manager. He should be Nyla Rose's manager. By the way, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
You know, hopefully Jericho does go back to the title picture, but personally, I don't think he needs to. He has nothing else to prove. He can be there to put over talent. If anything, if Sammy comes back, play a sex god, they can go after the tag team titles. I'd like to see Jericho with the tag team title. He could face Cody for the TNT title, you know. Other than that, I mean,
that's where it's at right there. See, all that, you finally got to a great point there. Yes, Jericho and Cody. That, and Jericho takes that from him. I'm all for that. That doesn't need to be the Cody belt.
No.
Stephen Osborne, what do you think here?
Well, I didn't personally see the match, but I can tell you that the demographics actually, you know, they do make a difference. I actually worked for Nielsen, the company that does the ratings, and it's extremely difficult to nail down numbers for real. And without getting into the deep demographics, it's hard to say what really matters and where, because a lot of times, you know, it depends on the part of the country. But to get the demographic that gets you the ad revenue, that's what's important. But then again, you know, numbers always speak. It's pretty cool that NXT has managed to beat them a few weeks in a row. But, I mean, it took awesome cards to do so. Like ridiculously good shows back to back to back in order to do so. I think it's fine that I agree with Big G. I think it's fine that Chris Jericho isn't trying to go for the title again. I think sometimes in wrestling, when the same guys are always in the title picture, it starts to get stagnant. Like, take Jericho out until it makes sense story-wise to put him back in. Otherwise, you know, let him do other things. Like Big G said, let him help put over other talent. So I don't think that's a bad thing. Maybe it would have been a good thing if he'd have put over Orange Cassidy here. I know that Jericho won.
Yes, and I'm glad. That was one thing I was worried about, if he was going to do that and put him over. So I was happy with the result. Now, Aaron, you started doing this whole internet thing, wrestling talk, back in the late Attitude Era, right? The Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Do you ever remember when the Monday Night War, the ratings were? Did they ever say demographic? It was always about the total number of fans. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to get that point out. What was your thought?
Well, first of all, regarding the Attitude Era, WWE was very popular with the teenage audience back then, and that's one thing that WWE and AEW have lost. They've lost the connection with the younger audience. And you look at those demographics, and NXT, it's mainly people in their 40s and 50s now that are watching it, and AEW skews a bit younger, but still, both companies have really struggled to bring in a younger audience, and I think that comes down to not being able to make a new mainstream level superstar that appeals to younger audiences and is something that kids will talk about in their high school classes whenever they get back to those classes.
Have we thought about the possibility that just wrestling in general is starting to not appeal to the younger generation?
Yeah, it's basically just the people that like us that have been watching for decades that are staying loyal to it, but wrestling hasn't created new fans. It's been a while, and that's why those demo numbers are not as strong as they should be in the 18 to 49 category. But apparently TNT's happy with the numbers that AEW are producing, so I guess more power to AEW. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat with the most obvious comment of all time. Orange Cassidy has more charisma than Ricochet. And the question is Orange Cassidy the guy that AEW should be building up as a future main event star? Probably not. I think Orange Cassidy is a very entertaining character, but I think he works best as a manager. I like when he's out there with best friends, and then, he does that shtick with the kicks and all that as a way to throw off, play mind games with his opponents. To me, that's how I could rationalize Orange Cassidy as a character.
Yep.
TGS sent in a $2 super chat, says, "Hey boys, as usual, we'll watch Monday at work." Thank you for that, TGS. We do appreciate it. And Psycho Jet Black with another $2 says, "Did John Cena fans grow up and stop watching WWE?" It's quite possible. I think, with Cena moving on to other things. Adrian with a $5 super chat says, "Wrestling is fake. Why do guys watch middle-aged men in spandex roll around?" Good question, Adrian. I've been asking myself that for many years here. And the game is on 100 with a $5 super chat. Thank you guys for your super chats. He says, "There's one thing AEW brags about, 18 to 49 demo. They didn't beat the challenge on MTV in that demo." Well, here's another thing, too. Tony Khan is going on there saying, "We came in 7th place. We're happy with that." They should.
Can you imagine Vince McMahon saying that?
Oh, Vince would never post anything like that.
Or Stephanie or Triple H or any of them.
They would find a way. Yeah. I mean, they would be shady about it. They would try to spin it like we were number one in such and such category. They would find some kind of way to say they're number one, even if it's total bullshit. They would never say, "Oh, we were number 7. We're proud of that." TJS sent in another $2 super chat. Thank you, TJS. Says, "I started watching when I was 7. I'm 22 now." Well, there you go. TJS represents, I think, a rarity in wrestling where you have somebody who's stayed loyal to it at such a young age. I mean, there's definitely people out there for sure, but yeah, it seems like WWE's really struggling. And Jericho and Orange Cassidy was good. It was fun. And I'm sure that's the end of it. Jericho's moving on to something else. And yeah, maybe we'll get Cody versus Jericho at some point. Could be a fun match.
All right. So, managers, we talked about that before, and it's like a lost art. We had Heyman all these years for WWE, but AEW seems to be kind of clinging on to it. I mean, we have Taz. You could say Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, maybe, stuff like that. And now there's a rumor of Jake Roberts. Now there's a rumor that Nyla Rose is declaring she's going to be getting a manager. I'm just curious on, could be female, male, who could it be? And I like Big G. I'll start with you. Just go. That's the topic.
2 words. Excuse me.
Ooh, I
Vicky
like
Guerrero.
it. I like it.
Yeah, I mean,
I could see Vicky Guerrero. She did such
perfect.
a tremendous
manager.
job in WWE with Dolph Ziggler. She had you eating out of the palm of her hand. As soon she didn't even have to speak, and they would just boo her
That would
ridiculously.
be great when crowds come back too. Ooh.
They would exactly. And the one time they did cheer for her, obviously, is when when they let her go WWE and she lost against Stephanie and they played Eddie's music and whatnot. But anyways, she would be a great manager for Nyla Rose. I mean, Nyla can talk on the mic too, but if you have a manager, you really don't need to talk. So I'm going with Vicky Guerrero. I can't think of anybody else.
All right, Stephen Osborne, thoughts on this? Managers making a comeback in general. AEW is pushing for that. Yeah, I know that's been a topic, so this is more specifically to who do you think they could put with Nyla Rose that could work?
I don't know. If you're going for a legend, I mean, considering the people that they've hired thus far, the only name that comes to mind that I feel like would be able to do it contractually is like Alundra Blaze. Somebody that's, a legend, but probably not under contract with WWE. So she can swoop in and just be a big name, or at least sort of a big name. I don't see why she would have to have a female, though. I'm sure there are male managers that would be just fine for her, but I couldn't imagine who it would be, honestly, other than just some, random former WWE Hall of Famer.
I wish they could start creating manager stables. Like, it would be, to me, Aaron, it'd be interesting if Taz got her in that little group. But, I don't know. I'm just using that as a quick example, but I love the Hart, Jimmy Hart, Bobby Heenan, and Slick. They all had their Mr. Fuji. They all had their little group of people back in the day. What do you think here, Aaron?
I agree. I would love to see that again. Somebody in the chat room, Greg Cherrymark, mentioned that Vince Russo could be Nyla Rose's manager. I would love that if we had crowds. Like, there's no point right now, but imagine Vince Russo coming out as a manager for anybody in AEW with a live crowd of those diehard AEW fans. Like, man, that would get so much heat. My eyes would be glued to the TV set, I tell you that much. But, yeah, I think Big G nailed it. Vicky Guerrero seems like a great choice to manage Nyla Rose. So there you go. At Tony Khan, in case he hasn't already brainstormed it in the genius mind of his. Maybe he'll go with it.
All right, let's move on. We'll move on to some WWE stuff here. Heath Slater had that spot on Raw, and it was interesting. And I always find it weird WWE releases somebody, but then they'll bring him back. And will he get a new contract? Will he land somewhere else? He never really did much. I think the biggest angle besides Nexus that he was in was that tag team thing. Got to feed, might want to pull for the kids with Rhino. 3MB was kind of that comedic group. But I like this spot with Drew. Of course, they squashed him, and then they hugged it out. The reason why I want to bring this up as a topic, because I'm waiting for Jinder Mahal to get healthy, too, because I want to see him still get squashed by Drew McIntyre, right? We have that right, darn it. So Stefan, any thoughts here? Is Heath Slater going to be another former WWE player back over into AEW or an Impact? Could he get? What do you think about them bringing people back after they release them? I mean, yeah, a date's a date for a wrestler, but like it's weird sometimes.
If the wrestler is comfortable doing whatever they're asking them to do for whatever the price they're going to pay them, then sure. Maybe he got re-signed to another contract. I think that would be a terrible idea for him because they're not going to use him any better than they did before. They might use him hot for a little bit. And remember when Matt Hardy came back, all vengeful against Edge, and he was hot for a little bit, but then finally lost to Edge and then just started getting buried. I mean, then he came back again. He was all hot with the delete, and then eventually just started getting buried again. It's a sickness that they have, bringing these guys back and giving them hope, just so they can make a quick buck off of a storyline that people care about because of reasons, fill in the blank. In this case, I don't really particularly want to see Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre. I didn't really care about Heath Slater versus Drew McIntyre in the match itself because it was essentially a squash match. Like, what was the point of all of that?
Because you want every match to be an NXT match. That's why. That's the culture of your type of fan. I mean, it is. You're that type of fan.
No,
yeah, it is. When you badmouth Jinder Mahal, who looks like $1 million, I don't care if he's on steroids or not, right? Okay, they gave him the foreigner heel gimmick again, when he had that run. But yeah, come on, he's a worker, right? So I love watching guys get opportunities, even if some fans don't think they should deserve it, and walk out of the concourse when they have a match at Money in the Bank.
What I'm saying is,
disrespectful wrestling fans, absolutely uncalled for.
That's
the culture of wrestling in 2020.
What is the point of bringing back Heath Slater for this match when he seemed to have no shot in the match? Like, give him something.
But Jinder would. They wouldn't squash Jinder out. We know Drew would beat him. So, yeah, it's a little different there, but throw shade on Jinder. Jinder's my boy.
But as long as Heath Slater's fine with it, then, yeah, why not, I guess. I mean, they did that shit with Drake Maverick, and he seemed to be fine with it, although it's kind of...
Again? Is he working for him officially again?
He's got a contract.
That's a cool story, whether it was we were all worked and they never really... But that's
cool. But it's kind of a slap in the face to all the other guys that got fired on the same day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't get that. They didn't get the opportunity to go on Twitter and cry about it and then somehow develop a storyline that gets them their job back.
Maybe they should have. But anyway.
Maybe they should have. Yeah, maybe.
Big G, what do you think?
I think this is just a one-off. Ziggler and McIntyre feuding, and we've seen this in the past. I think when Lawler and Michael Cole were feuding, they brought in Grandmaster Sexay, to be part of that storyline, and we know they have history between McIntyre and Slater.
You actually brought up a Michael Cole wrestling angle. I can't believe that. Yes, I can.
It's me. It's Big G. Why not? No.
All right.
If anything, I could see him either going to AEW or Impact Wrestling. More Impact Wrestling just because Rhino's there, and they could be a tag team again in Impact Wrestling. So if he does go back to WWE, hopefully he was smart about it. He said he was smart about it, and he said he might want to say he wants a little bit more pool, more creative, something like that.
Slater that though, but
I doubt it.
Yeah, that's like a CM Punk trying to come back or something like that.
Yeah, but if he did back to WWE, hopefully he was smart about it.
All right, Aaron Rift.
All right, we got a few super chats here. Psycho Jet Black said Heath has done better promos than Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. He just had to take a shot at Ricochet again. And Psycho Jet Black also mentioned with another $2 about Nyla Rose possibly being managed by Scott Steiner. I think there was no chance AEW would bring in Scott Steiner, but stranger things have happened. It would be quite the move there. And just wanted to say to Y2 Woody, sorry about what you're going through, man, and we wish you well, and we're happy that you're here watching the videos, and hang in there, man. We're thinking about you. So as far as Heath Slater goes, I could see him going to Impact Wrestling and doing some stuff there for a while. AEW, maybe, but he's all but confirmed that he's going to do Impact because he keeps bringing up July 18th, which is the date of Slammiversary. Although a lot of people have said that, and I think that's just when everyone is legally free to wrestle is on July 18th. Yeah. It just happens to be right when Slammiversary is happening. So I got to give credit to Impact because they've taken full advantage of this to build up hype for their pay-per-view and get people talking. So hats off to them. Good for them. And I think we will see Heath Slater back one day. The guy's already looking bigger than he's already looked and seems motivated, and if Drew McIntyre can do it, I think Heath Slater can do it. So I have a feeling we'll see him back at some point.
Jinder did it. Drew did it. And now who's the third member of 3MB? Remember, we all joked about it. Now it's Heath Slater's turn.
Yeah.
Would we count that as a success? How basically, how it happened with Jinder, how it happened with Drew. They came back. They got to the top. If Heath Slater did something like that, even in another promotion like Impact, and got into a main event, would we consider 3MB now a long-term success? I think so. Yeah. Even if it was Impact. So, all right. Next topic. Some new title belts here. the new U.S. title. I do like the eagle on it because I was a big fan of the eagle belt, the old school Hulk Hogan WWF Winged Eagle WWF title. And then Taz brings his FTW. Does that mean F the world? Is that what something he had in ECW back in the day, and puts it on Brian Cage? I love that. Like, that's manager stuff. What's everybody's take on these titles here? Aaron, I'm going to start with you on this one because I've been putting you last on all of this. What do you think?
That's fine. And Adrian just sent in a super chat. He says, Heath Slater has been lined up to do security in a new bar opening up in the next week or two, hence why he got, quote, big. All right, then. That was quite the super chat from Adrian. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Whoa, Big G just wiped out. Psycho Jet Black says 3MB is more successful than Nexus. Did 3MB job out to John Cena?
Yes.
I don't remember.
If I'm not mistaken. And Brock Lesnar.
Well, then maybe that's not true, Psycho Jet Black. But anyways, new U.S. title, I think I'm indifferent to it. It looks better in photographs than it does on TV. Maybe they could tweak it a little bit. FTW title, whatever. Apparently, it's the same title that Taz had in ECW, and it was in his possession. And for those of you wondering, WWE does not own the rights to that term. ECW never did, so WWE never picked up the intellectual property. Taz always owned it. And to me, I think it's something for Brian Cage, but makes me feel like he's definitely losing now to Moxley, and that's why he's getting the FTW title now as like a consolation prize. But yeah, they're both all right. Not lighting my world on fire, but I don't hate either title being used. So there you go.
Well, thank you, Aaron. All right, Stephen Osborne. I know you're a big fan of that North American title belt down in NXT. What do you think? Right? Am I correct on that? What do you think on these?
I think the new United States title belt is a cool design, but it is improperly put to use. Like, it's like this title. I don't know if everybody can see it, but my the old WCW title, where the faceplate is completely flat and it's impossible to wear. I'm sure with those straps that they have now that don't have the buttons, instead they have the what is it? Velcro. Yeah. I'm sure they're probably a little easier to put on, but they're super awkward to wear and they look weird now. Just that flat plate just looks weird, especially being so big. They need to contour it a little bit and they need to lower that font of the word champion.
Man, you are really intellectual on title belts. Holy cow, you should start making them.
I really should. It's sticking out way too far. It makes it look weird, doesn't it? I mean, I agree that it should stick out past the top of the plate a little bit, but not so like it's crazy looking. But I think if you tweak the title a little bit, it would look really awesome, especially compared to that tiny ass former title. That stick that thing on the Big Show and it looks like a wristwatch. As far as the FTW title goes, for the win, it is. For the loss, man, it is an ugly ass belt. That title is so.
Got the Taz black and orange colors, though. That's what it's all about. The Taz.
I love orange, but oh my God, the color only goes so far. The title is ugly, but I guess it's a relic, so who really cares what it looks like? They could always update the look. They have the ability. There are companies out there right now that'll print one out for you. Yep. So, they could update the look if they wanted to. As it stands, it's fine. It's just really ugly. I like it in principle. It gives them a mid-card title, finally.
Well, unless it's just like $1 million title. You know what I mean? Like just a spoof kind of.
Well, they have the TNT title, but I feel like the TNT title is more like what the old television title was. It's not.
They need to finish that.
That's like the lower card.
Come on. Cody said, or somebody said it wasn't even finished. Why hasn't it been finished? That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Well, if what we saw of the TNT title is what we're actually going to get, that one's pretty ugly too.
You don't think they're going to finish that and put some more color in it?
I think they leaked out what was there so that people could rag on it and they could pick up tips. I think they're going to take some tips and tweak the title and maybe make it into something, because it's going to be hard to match their world title. That is just a brilliant combination of old school and new school Japan, like belt plates. I don't know how you top that. So whatever it's going to be mediocre at best, but at least better than what they've shown us, hopefully.
Alrighty. Big G, that's your turn.
Oh,
you agree,
boy.
Next?
Huh?
You agree so we can move on?
Yeah, pretty much.
No,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
the title belt.
I mean, I'm fine with the U.S. title belt. It looks decent for what it is. I mean, we had the old design back since 2003. It needed an update. The FTW belt, I'm fine with too. Gives, like you guys said, it gives Brian Cage something to do, because we all know he's going to lose next week against Mox, and that way he can defend it. And I feel like it's just like the $1 Million Championship, pretty much. So.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, dude. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, so we do have a few more super chats here, and shout out to Michael Wade, the cousin of Michael Wayne. Glad to see they're all here in the chat room tonight. We have a super chat from AQWWQQA. Says, Drew as WWE champion so far greater than Roman Reigns as world champion? ? Virtue?
No.
That's a virtue question.
Roman Reigns, like, the thing is, WWE had cold feet because of the fan outlet. Like, to a point, Roman Reigns never really had a dominant title reign with any of those, because just weird circumstances, and they were worried about the fans getting mad, and it's almost like they like Reigns chasing it, being the underdog. I don't know. It's been his main title reigns have been strange. That's for sure.
And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says the FTW title needs gold plating and a name tag. Oh, there you go. Anyways, I guess we're ready to move on.
I would say we can all do a little karaoke session here, but I don't even want to talk about that unless the chat. I'm surprised the chat hasn't brought that up. Like $1 billion deal, right, for Fox to get rights to WWE Smackdown, and I just wonder what they thought about that segment. But anyway, we'll move on to the main event unless somebody does a super chat and wants us to go further into bad storyline or bad TV skits. SummerSlam. That's Aaron put Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton on the thumbnail for this video. And right now, rumored SummerSlam main events, we could maybe assume Braun Strowman versus The Fiend, right? We got to see how this next Extreme Rules goes, the horror show. Orton and Drew McIntyre. And I just can't get hyped because, I know Roman's out. Like, where does Lesnar fall in? Like, SummerSlam's supposed to feel big. We were there last year, Steph, Aaron, and I. The pandemic just really makes these big events just seem blah. So what's everyone's thoughts on rumored SummerSlam matches? There's nothing I can get excited about on paper. Can any of you give me a potential match they could do? I mean, I think it's like we know. It's all obvious. Big G, I'm going to start with you. Everything is obvious. Lesnar's the biggest question mark. What do you think?
Yeah, if Lesnar can come back, hopefully, if they play their cards right, they could possibly finally do Lashley versus Lesnar. It doesn't have to be a non-title match. That could be a possible main event. I could also see Orton and McIntyre as the possible main event. Orton's pretty much on a hot streak right now. He's doing great work as a heel again. He's the legend killer again. Him, if I could see any kind of stable forming, it would be with him, Andrade, and Angel Garza, and Zelina as their manager. I could see that as a possible stable. Anyways,
I did like that thing Orton did with Garza on Raw. Like that realism, they should have more things where somebody screws up and you think that it's an actual botch, and then the wrestler just does something like what Orton did on Raw. That was Aaron, you posted that video. That was very entertaining.
I could also see The Fiend versus Strowman. it's just like you said, Richie. It's difficult during this pandemic because these big shows. I mean, WrestleMania was fine for the 2 nights. It was something different. If they do it with SummerSlam, I don't know how that's going to be.
What about women? You know what? I see Charlotte versus Asuka.
Yeah.
Wasn't Charlotte supposed to be out for months, and then somewhere along the line it came out to
if Charlotte comes back within the next couple weeks, if Charlotte comes back after Extreme Rules and faces Asuka at SummerSlam, I see that possibly happening. If they decide to get their heads out of their asses, they can have Shayna Baszler versus Asuka at SummerSlam. You know, on the SmackDown side, Bayley versus Sasha finally get their head out of their asses and have that feud.
Those sounds like very possible scenarios. Stephen Osborne.
Well, other than those, I mean, you've got The Fiend versus Braun Strowman for the Universal title, finally, where The Fiend finally beats him and takes the title and gets a run with it, hopefully. He never gets a run. He wins the WWE title, he has it for a month, and then he loses it. He wins the Universal title, he has it for a month and a half, and he fucking loses it to Goldberg. So, this is, I don't know, you could bring back Goldberg. You could have the cinematic match between The Undertaker and Sting. How many pay-per-views do we just have the next pay-per-view before?
Yeah, Extreme Rules.
That's it? Yeah, man, they're going to have to get on the ball, though, if they're going to make any of this shit happen, because they've only got a few weeks to start preparing for story. Like, who wants to go in just knowing the match is going to happen without any kind of build-up? They could do that, too, but fuck, why?
Aaron?
Well,
I just, what do you think of, is this a possibility of everything? Orton versus Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. We haven't seen a big triple threat match in a while.
Very true, and I think that's quite possible for SummerSlam, because what else do you do with Brock Lesnar other than a match with Bobby Lashley? And
wouldn't he want revenge too from WrestleMania? Yeah. I'm just trying to put it together as a.
See, I feel like WWE's not going to do Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. I sense like they're going to see it as a waste of Brock Lesnar to do a match with Bobby Lashley, even though a lot of fans want to see it. It's like, you know, one of the few big guy versus big guy matches they could do. Big G?
No, I'm saying Lashley's been pretty dominant ever since MVP's come back in the picture. You know, he's made him more brutal with that full Nelson.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a microphone in MVP's hand and one in Paul Heyman's hand?
Oh, that would be great. That would be an awesome match. Like,
I feel there needs to be a title though for that. I don't know. Like,
nah, it doesn't.
The way they've treated Brock Lesnar the last 5 years, that's why I feel it. He could be more likely be inserted into an Orton and Drew match. I'm just saying that because Brock comes to TV, if Brock even comes for SummerSlam.
Well, if it's not the WWE Championship, they're not going to put Brock in the match. Like, if for some reason Bobby Lashley beats Apollo Crews and takes the title from him, they're not going to put Brock Lesnar in a match with the U.S. champ. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
no.
So it would be better.
Cena had a run with that title. I mean,
well, they would put him in a match with John Cena, but not with the U.S. title involved. I mean, I think it's better if it's not a title match. I think it's better if they find some way to make it a grudge match.
Right.
You can do it. It's doable.
I would like to see Randy Orton versus Tommaso Ciampa, because they were teasing that for a while, and then just do Lesnar versus McIntyre. I mean, you know Lesnar's going to come back and want his rematch. It's just a matter of will McIntyre accept it, or will somebody like Bobby Lashley come out in MVP saying like, hey, you know what? We're sick and tired of Lesnar just coming back every once in a while when Bobby Lashley wants a piece of him or something like that. So they could do that. There are some possibilities. And over on the Smackdown site, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, what if The Fiend took the Money in the Bank briefcase from Otis? Might as well, because Otis has been
right, Otis.
That has cooled off so much, and he's been off TV for a couple of weeks, and I mean, we can only speculate on why, but yeah, he's been gone, and I feel like that Money in the Bank win, yuck.
COVID?
It's off.
Yeah, we don't know what's up with Otis. There's been no report on why he's gone. And let's see here. We have
They just don't have nothing to do with him.
We have a $2 super chat from Psycho Jet Black. He says, Brock Lesnar had diverticulitis. Will he still come back? Of course he'll come back. He's Brock Lesnar, and if there's a payday, he'll be back. He can cross the border. He can do what he wants. He's Brock Lesnar, damn it. And I expect him to be part of SummerSlam, even though the crowds have not returned yet. And AQWWQQA sent in a $2.29 super chat saying, do you see Austin Theory becoming a big main eventer? No. Virtue, what do you think?
No.
Nope.
Well, there you go. It's pretty unanimous here.
That could change, but right now that question being asked, nope.
I mean, he's already been pulled from television, and unlike Velveteen Dream, there's not been a lot of stock put into Austin Theory, so anyone slip up here or some kind of accusation that comes out, that could be very damning for somebody.
Now, if they asked me that question about Matt Riddle, I would say, yep.
Well, there you go.
I think if Austin Theory hangs around and turns his career into like an AJ Styles thing, but within WWE, and he is still in a prime athletic state when Vince McMahon dies, there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
But there's a chance. But if all that stuff doesn't happen, I don't see it happening. Not Austin.
I'm glad we're like at the 52-minute mark. I love when we can get these shows done in an hour. Do we have any more super chats? I know by the time we come around with our plugs, we might. But
yeah, we do have one from Adrian who sent in $5. He says, what are your thoughts on John DuPont's impact on the wrestling business? I don't even know who that is.
I don't know.
We're going to ask Greg Cherry that question.
Yeah, you stumped everybody here because I don't think any of us, unless that was a typo, but maybe he'll come back and clarify.
Isn't DuPont like a paint supply or something like that?
I have no idea. Anybody in the chat room know what he's talking about?
Might be a UFC fighter.
It might be. It might be. Is it a UFC?
It's somebody from UFC.
John DuPonts.
DuPont's?
Whatever.
Sounds somebody from the UFC.
Probably is a UFC guy.
All right. Well, I think I've caught up with everybody. So anybody else?
Well, let's go down to our plugs.
Right,
Big G. Big G,
yes.
I'll go over to you there in the camper.
NoDQ.com/BigBiology takes you to my Twitter page. NoDQ_BigBiology1988 on Instagram. Jeff Feltz on Facebook. Go check out NoDQ.com/merch for the latest merch. You can also check out the Greg Cherry brand on Teesprings. I got a couple new shirts up there. I think Jeff Meacham has a couple shirts on there. Jeff Meacham Network on Teesprings. That's it for me. Stefan, take it away.
You can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN, or just at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find me on Facebook on our group Armbar, all caps ARMBAR, ! And if you want a t-shirt, that's on Teespring too, on Greg Cherry's channel. And also Aftermatch Wrestling, that is our YouTube channel. You can find us all one word, AFTERMATCH, Aftermatch Wrestling. And then we've got a Facebook group, and we're on Instagram and Twitter. Colin runs those. And then you can find me on Instagram at osborne.stefan. And that's about it. Like and share the videos, guys. Help grow the channel.
Thank you, Stefan.
Colin Andrew just sent in a $2 super chat. Says, support Aftermatch Wrestling.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Colin.
Well, it's your turn. There you go. Perfect timing, Aaron.
Right. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, will Sammy Guevara come back as a face or a heel? Interesting question there. I could see him coming back just being with Jericho for a while and resume his role. Like I don't see him coming back, and I mean he could be a babyface.
He should come back like he's going to be, and like he's going to leave the inner circle, and it was a swerve, and then they do something, and they're all back together and back getting pushed towards the top.
I like it. I think that's a great idea. And the game is on 100 sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, thoughts on WWE acquiring Evolve Wrestling? Well, I mean, good for WWE, bad for the indies because it's another company that's going belly up, and COVID certainly played a factor in it. It just sucks, but WWE, they've gained some footage to use for their network, so good for WWE, I guess. Any other thoughts on Evolve?
Nah.
I'm worried that means that now that they have a farm company over there in the UK, that they might actually shut down NXT UK just to get the stank of that name out of people's heads, and then you'd still be able to open up NXT Australia and NXT Japan or wherever you want to start your next conqueror of the world. But yeah, I'm a little worried because I've grown to like NXT UK. And I'm worried what's going to happen to those guys, because if they're no longer on WWE Network on television, I mean, maybe they're still in the system, but we might not see them for a while,
Well, but if they ever shut down NXT UK, the good ones, just bring some of them over here. I definitely want to see Candy Floss in the women's division over here.
I want to see
Great
an
talent.
NXT UK invasion of NXT. Fly them over here as soon as you can, because if you can't do shows over there, at least you can use your talent, because they haven't laid them off that we know of, so they're still paying them.
Yeah.
Might as well get some use out of them.
All right.
You still got to do your plugs, Aaron, don't you?
I do. Well, we do have another super chat from $5. So some information
Always
on
happens.
John DuPont. According to Adrian, who sent in $5, and I guess it pays for me to not know stuff. He says he was involved with the American Olympics wrestling team with Kurt Angle, and he murdered someone. And I looked it up on Wikipedia. He murdered Dave Schultz, not Dr. D. David Schultz, Dave Schultz, the amateur wrestler, I guess. And I actually remember this because when I was a kid,
there was a movie.
When I was a
movie
kid,
about
I
this,
heard
too.
the story and I was like, oh no, Dr. D got killed. And then I was like, oh wait, it's not him. It's a different Dave Schultz. So yeah, I had no idea who John DuPont was. So yeah.
Didn't they make a movie?
There was a
about that
movie.
or
Yes,
something?
there was. Mark Ruffalo was in it.
Yeah. Was Steve Carell in there too? That sounds familiar now.
That I don't know, but Mark Ruffalo was definitely in it. That's
Okay, I'll have to look that
coming
up.
back. Yeah.
And
I'll have to
Psycho
look
Jet
that
Black with a $2 super chat. Once again, thank you, Psycho, for your super
They don't
chats
want the show
tonight.
to end.
I know. He says Aaron's head is really shiny. It's distracting. That's
He's
a little
alright.
shiny. It gets hot when we're doing this for like an hour under the bright
Yeah.
lights in the big city of.
Aaron's got a
Detroit,
big
Michigan.
professional studio, so yeah.
Yeah, and they got this very bright light shining on me.
It's
And-
Caitlin's foundation makeup that she puts on and make it look better for video. So that's the glare. Yeah.
There you go. All right, guys. So stay tuned to NoDQ.com. We got the little technical issue with the site fixed, so you should be able to get on there just fine. And stay tuned this week. A lot of content coming up on the channel. We're going to be doing predictions on Tuesday, and I will be separating AEW and NXT recaps this week, which means the NoDQ review will not be on Thursday. We're probably going to either start doing Saturday or Tuesdays permanently, so stay tuned. We may take a week off and come back after the pay-per-view, but we will be back with the group. I'm not sure which four, but 4 of us will be back, maybe 5, maybe we'll do 5, for the Extreme Rules Horror Show pay-per-view. That'll be 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, usual time. And that's all I got. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, and if there's no review next week, there'll be a prediction show because we've done that in the past. So don't fret if there's a week without a review. We'll be back. We've done 103 of them. So thank you for watching the NoDQ review number 103. For Aaron Rift, for Stefan Osborne, sorry, I was going to say Burt.
It's okay.
And for Big G, I am Virtue. Thanks for watching NoDQ Galaxy, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everybody. Have a great night.